Hey, I'm back. Sort of, kinda. That's a video for another day. But today, Jasco, or UVS Games, has changed the card frame. And as some of you may be aware, I have some hot opinions on card frames. So I figured I would give mine, even though I haven't really looked at the game in like 6 months. That's a different video. Today, we are talking about the new UniVersus card frame. So yeah. The old frame. I really liked it. It had a lot of pizzazz, a lot of pop, a lot of wow. It really stood out. I really liked it. I thought it was great. So let's see how they maybe ruined it or maybe made it 10 times better. So here's the old card frame. Here's the new one. Got a lot to talk about here. Something you'll might be aware of is I really like borders on my cards personally. Big border guy. I don't know why. When things don't have borders, just kind of feel like flimsy, a little cheap. I don't know, that's just me. This is more of a personal take. Granted, my favorite card game of all time is pretty borderless, so take this opinion with a grain of salt. Some things I have noticed off the rip. I think it is nice. They say they've reduced a lot of visual clutter, which is true. They got rid of all the stuff on the side and put it in the box. So now all like a lot of the gameplay info is in one little box, and there's just two numbers in the corners that you need to look at. But most everything is in this little box. So I think it's great. I think that's awesome. I think that really helps with the readability. You're not looking all over the card, trying to keep track of every number. You have everything just like in its place. But some things I am noticing right off the bat is a lot of the symbols are really small. Like the block and the speed and the damage are all considerably small, to a degree where it's quite noticeable, especially in the block. It is extremely noticeable. I also kind of miss the rocks that were in the corner and almost made up like this like pseudo frame. I kind of like those, I'm not gonna lie. And it's like, yeah, we have like made more space for art, which is cool. I can see Sero's fingers now. Awesome. I digress. That's again more a personal gripe. I do miss the rocks. I did like those. I also miss the symbols being on the side, being like prominent. So having them just kind of like scaled down and thrown in the bottom is a little disappointing. I don't know, I thought they're very important. And I liked how they flowed. You know, you just have a column and it did the little zoop and then whoop over to the box. I like the little, you know what I mean? It's just it's a nice little, I liked it. It was nice. I liked how it guided your eyes. You look at the symbols and then you had the angle that points you into the text and you start reading it. I like that a lot. I like taking the name down to the box with the rest of the words. It makes the name not stand out as much because it does tend to blend in now with all the text and stuff. But oh well. Let's see what else they've done, because this is not the, as you know, this is not the final card. So let's take a look at some of the iterations. Something they did here was they made it a little easier to tell what is an attack versus what is a foundation, and they also fixed the numbers where they made the block, speed, and damage bigger. But one thing I am noticing is that I think they made the check and difficulty smaller, which I do not like. I think the check and difficulty numbers obviously small. They look almost too small. Something I like about the old frame is how much those numbers stood out, because those are some of the most important numbers. They were how you were able to play the card in the first place, and then they were the number you're flipping over the top card of your deck for. And when you're flipping cards off the top of your deck, you're looking for a specific symbol. It's nice to have that symbol you're looking for big and pronounced, so you can easily flip it and be like, oh, there's the check, right? Here, it kind of blends in with the rest of the numbers, so when you flip it, you gotta be like, all right, where's the blue one? You know, you gotta look for the number and be like, where'd the blue number go? So personally, I wish they would have kept the check and difficulty the same size. Just make the block and speed and damage bigger. Don't scale them all so they're the same. I don't think they should be the same. I think they're two very different numbers, and they happen at two different points of the game. Like, you start with the card with the difficulty in check. That's how you play the card, right? And now that it's in play, now we can start looking at the block and the speed and the damage. So it had there was a nice like visual hierarchy there of big number more important. You start big number, and then we can go down to the small number after we've finished big number part. I like that. I really like that. But the biggest thing here is you can see they've added a border. I think makes the cards look so much better. Perfect. Now that these have a border, splendid. I think they look superb. Fantastic. I don't know why. I love borders. I just love borders. They've moved the keywords to the bottom of the card. I don't know how I feel about that. I have not played enough UniVersus to know, to have any opinion on, like, gameplay feel of cards, you know what I mean? I don't have a good enough opinion on, like, the in-gameplay readability of things. I don't know how important I'm checking my keywords all the time, right? Maybe that's just a deck building thing. When I'm deck building, looking at keywords. When I'm actually playing, I'm not as much looking at them. And if that's the case, putting it on the bottom, I think it's great. But if keywords are something I'm going to be checking a lot, I guess, again, it's visual hierarchy. What am I looking at, like, first, right? If I'm going, like, on the left card here, I'm going, like, all right, we got blue flame spiral. What is it? It's a charge punch. All right, what does it do? On the right here, I got, all right, it's blue flame spiral. What does it do? All right, then what kind of attack is it? Like, I feel like when you're just talking about a card, I'm saying, oh, blue flame spiral is a charge punch attack that does this. It's way easier. That sounds way better than saying, oh, we got blue flame spiral, it does this, and it's a charge punch. Next up, they have just at how rarities work. So now all commons are just going to be art in the upper 2/3, and then just opaque text box in the bottom, which is cool. And then as rarities go up, they will get more and more full art, which I like. I think that is a perfect way to denounce rarity without having to have like a little symbol that tells you what rarity the card is. You can just look and be like, how full arty is it to see, right? So we have the commons, right? Just a flat text box background. Looks whatever. Looks maybe a little poopy, but like they're commons. That's kind of how they're supposed to look. That way the rares look that much better. So totally fine. And then uncommons have this little dotted pattern. So as a quick little visual reference between commons and uncommons, which are like kind of the same rarity, but not. So having this little visual distinction is important, but it's nice. I can easily look at these two cards and be like, oh, that is a common and that is an uncommon. As things get more rare, you'll see rares have this little full art treatment, which is cool. I love the faded text box. I think this looks awesome. It makes things look good. The border is perfect. Keeping the border is nice. It just, everything is nice and contained, but it's still full art and still looks good. And then we have the ultra rares, which have full foil borders. I love foil borders. I think they look so cool. It almost makes it look like a Topps card. I'm not gonna lie. It kind of ends up looking like a baseball card, but I don't think that's a bad thing. I'm very excited for what they have done with the rarities. I think that is, and they've made it completely full art, where it's just a little line at the bottom that with the gradient fade, so it like has like this little feeling of a text box being there, but like there's no box being there. It looks really good. It's a little tricky to tell if these are foundations or attacks. I'm sure once you have them next to each other and we have the orange box, it'll be like all night and day. But right now, having two like foundations, if I didn't know what these cards were, I would be kind of questioning, like, is this an attack? No. Because like gray is such a weird like indicator of what a card is, you know? Gray is a little bit of a like monochromatic color, so it's hard to be like, oh, it's gray, it's a foundation, you know what I mean? As opposed to saying like, oh, it's blue, that's an action, or it's green, that's a, I forget, and the orange is the attack, right? Gray is like a, oh, it's like a, it could be anything. You can't just look in the bottom and it's just foundation right there. So if you just know how to read, it's fine. They also changed all the symbols. I like all of these. I think these look super rad. I think this is great graphic. Hold on, now. I ain't a graphic designer by any means, but I did take a graphic design class once. Because I had to for my degree. But I will say this is fantastic graphic design. I love this. It's just they have reduced this in order to make the symbol smaller but still easy to identify. They have reduced it to 2 colors, in that there's black, white, and then a primary color to distinguish the symbol. So all the symbols are different colors. The only thing that gets a little tricky is air and water are a little close. I'd maybe make water maybe a smidge darker, maybe air a bit lighter, just like they're a little close. But the symbol on them with the wave and the spiral are different enough where like the water is primarily black and the air is primarily white. They're different enough that they're easy to distinguish. But in terms of colors, everything is very visually distinct outside of maybe air and water are a little close, just a little close, just a little bit, just a little close. Everything else I think is great. They've also changed the card back. I'm not gonna lie, I don't like the card back. As you know, I like me some borders. Card back don't got borders. When a card back don't got borders, I don't know why, but it just gives me like playing card vibes. Like I feel like I'm about to bend this card in half as soon as I touch it. I don't know why. When a back doesn't have borders, it just gives me that vibe of like I am going to bend this thing in half upon contact. But other than that, I think it's fine. I'm not hating it. I do think it gives me a little too much resemblance to like early 2000s YouTube intros, like these. It just feels kind of dated, you know? It just feels a little dated. I was hoping for something a little more modern. And if they're trying to throw, I get that they're trying to throw it back. It's like the modern blue UniVersus and the old orange versus system stuff. I get that. And if they're trying to go for that early 2000s aesthetic, then sure. But I feel like something, especially looking at the font of the UniVersus text, something a little more modern might have went a long way. Personally, not the biggest fan of the card back. Like when I look at Hawk's Feather, and I flip that card around, I am not expecting to see that. The UniVersus little fire swirl. I'm not expecting that. That's just my opinion. I feel like I remember them saying that Hawks and Hawk's Feather are the only finalized designs they have, which makes sense because I noticed a lot of the numbers were very like flat and muted, like they were like desaturated. Whereas Hawk's Feather is now the 1 and the 3 are back to popping. But the other ones, like the other like check and difficulty, were a little flat, a little desaturated. But these are back to being nice and loud, which is great. Something I'm noticing though right now is the enhance is yellow. I don't know if I like the yellow one yellow. I think the response tennis ball green also looks a little goofy on Hawks when they're right next to each other. I don't know how I feel about that. The enhance being yellow, it pops out, like I can see it, I can tell, I can glance and be like, oh, that has an enhance. I see yellow words, it has an enhance. But it's like, it's skirting the line. It's skirting the line of, I almost cannot read that, but I can. So that's good. Success. It was close. It's quite close. So overall, new card frame, pretty good. It does some things I don't like. I like to call it the modern corporate phenomenon, where we take old fun corporate logos and then just suck the life out of them. They're doing a little bit of that here. At the end of the day, it don't really detract too much from the card. I think it's a nice, like, it's obviously we're trying to be a little more minimalist, get rid of the visual clutter, just make it card with info on it, which I think is fine. I think it's totally fine. I personally just like really loud and bombastic cards, but that's just me. That's just more of a personal take. I think if your goal is to take the old frame and simplify it down, this is an excellent way of doing that. And bravo, way to blow the Battle Spirits redesign out of the water, because this is a good example of simplifying a card frame and redesigning it, whereas that one is a pretty terrible example. And if you want to go watch that video, it's like 40 minutes long, but pretty good, so I recommend. It's more of a rant. I think some valid points are made. So yeah, that's my opinion on the new card frame. Hopefully y'all will be seeing a little more UniVersus from me soon. Wink wink, nudge nudge. I just gotta figure out what that is. So until then, make sure to subscribe. I stream sometimes on this channel, so if you just like streams, come check out the stream, bro. I play a bunch of games. Yep, alright. See you guys. Have fun. Goodbye.